Welcome viewers to another episode of All Access Interview with Leaders, ahead of the Tobago House of Assembly election 2026. I am Aisha, Keens-Dumas, and every Tuesday from now till election, or from last week till election, we are going to interview the political leaders of the various parties who plan to vie for the positions within the Tobago House of Assembly. Tonight, or this evening, we have with us political leader of the Innovative Democratic Alliance, we all know as the IDA, Dr. Denise Tsoiafatt Angus. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, and it is a pleasure to be here with you and with your viewing and listening audience.
Now, Dr. Tsoiafatt Angus, your party, now in our sphere of things, parties are divided into majority party, minority party, and others. Based on the existence and the time of your party, you are an up-and-coming establishment. Could you tell us a little bit about the history of the IDA and why it was formed?
Okay, the IDA we started the IDA in August of 2021 because we saw there was a need for another choice for persons coming into the fray. You know, we felt that there had to be a party that was built that was committed to the prosperity of people and, liberating communities. And we were not seeing that anywhere else. And so that is when we said, we need to form the party with a new vision and a new mission. A party that is distinct and different from others in that we are not aligned to any of the national parties. Because being aligned to the national parties mean that you take instructions from Trinidad for whatever happens in the Tobago House of Assembly. And we felt that it was time, if we're talking about autonomy for Tobago, that we can't continue on down that road.
Okay. Yeah. You talked about forming the party for the prosperity of Tobagonians. Let's assume that you are elected into office as the majority. What are some of the plans you all would have to help develop that prosperity for Tobago?
So, and the tagline is in keeping with that, building a better future for all. Okay? And so the plans that we have going in, because we have to recognize that the current state of the economy is very bad. Over the last 10 years, it had declined, and that is why the PNM in Trinidad lost because of the economic decline. And in the last 4 years in Tobago, it has also declined under the TPP administration. And one of those reasons is that it's anchored on the fact that the under-education rate on the island has increased significantly from 62% to 68% now, undereducated, bringing us to being the last in the whole country. And that means that we're about 19 years behind Trinidad. So when we look at it, there are various areas that we have to approach in terms of doing that. So let me roll it out for you. One is education reform. We have to bring into fact that education has to become more relevant for our young people, those who learn by their hands, those who learn by their eyes and their ears, and those who are into athletics. So you have a 3-track educational system. Coming out of school, we want to ensure that all of our students have jobs. That is the best time to capture the minds of our young people. They have jobs for at least 3 years. We are putting them into private sector, not public sector, private sector, because we want to start rebuilding a strong private sector. And so you put them into private sector in areas that they may want to learn, whether it's tourism, whether it's mechanics, construction, wherever their interests lie, we find a private sector entity and we place them. The THA pays for that. And therefore, you then ask the private sector, all we are asking is in return that you train them. You give them a certificate of completion at the end, and after that they go into university. When I say university, it's not just about our regular university, but you also have grassroots university, technology institutes, whatever higher learning there is in the area that they want to, of interest, we will put them into that area for further certification. When those young people come out, they are better, able to get more jobs, okay? Or better jobs, can I say. Starting from the youth, because we are now saddled with a burden of $15 million additional debt on top of the $15 billion on top of the $30 billion that government have given themselves the opportunity to borrow. We are going to be saddled with that. And so we put together what we call our seed program, where every child under the age of 18 years old will have an account started with a credit union for $1,000. Credit unions, because we want to strengthen communities, and communities is where credit unions lie. And so we will start them out with $1,000. Every year we give them $1,200. If parents put in that $100 a month for the year, we will match that, so the child will get $3,600.
And this is part of your education reform pillar?
Education reform, and also, preparing them for a life of prosperity. Okay? It connects.
And what age would this start at?
Of this seed?
The seed program.
The seed fund starts anybody under 18. So mean you're just born, you could get it. Mean you're 17 or 18, we are opening it. Because we want to train our young people now to begin saving. Saving is important. Many of them don't save. And so you want to shift the mindset into a saving mindset. So we begin that. Those, of course, who have started earlier with the savings accounts, they will then be able, at the end of 18 years old, 80% of that will be taken and put into a housing and land trust fund, because you want them to be saving towards shelter.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so with the 3-year program that we said we will offer after school, they will be encouraged to give a part of that income into the housing trust regularly. And so by the time young persons reach 28 years old, which is one of the pillars, one of the programs we have, we call it Home 28. By the time they get to 28 years old, they will have enough money to pay down on a house and to start being, owning their own homes.
Okay, so one of your main pillars is education reform. How do you see Tobago's lack of autonomy affecting that type of reform?
We continue to blame the autonomy issue. There is enough space within that whole autonomy, the current THA Act, for us to do what we have to do. We continue to blame the autonomy issue, but even where money is concerned, to get monies, the current THA Act allows us to go out and borrow against our own overdraft. Okay. So we don't always have to go to the minister. However, persons have been lazy and they want to blame the act and blame autonomy for not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Okay.
THA Act says we are responsible for education. Let them bring the police and tell us we can't do it.
Okay. We have an economist that says that Tobago in certain areas would not be able to progress unless there's some national policy. Do you think your education reform can move ahead without a national policy across the board?
Yes,
okay.
We do think that the education can move ahead without a national policy across the board.
Okay.
In fact, it may very well be a great pilot for Trinidad to look at when we roll it out. Okay, because I always believe that Tobago leads. And so we can lead because Trinidad having similar problems. We are 68% under education, they are 58% under education. You cannot take a country forward like that. Everybody talks about Singapore and how great Singapore is, and Singapore focused on education. 43% of their workforce has a university education.
Okay.
So it means that there is something towards education moving people forward. If you don't have, this situation with under education is what has caused joblessness, okay? It has caused the people earning low wages because they don't have skills to earn high wages. It has caused the fact that a weak private sector because everybody wants a government job. It has caused the fact that, there's migration, brain drain, and crime. And then you end up with, social instability. So it's causing all of that. And if we don't treat with that core issue, that core problem, then we're not going anywhere.
So education would be the catalyst for everything else that you're going to push through. Could you share with us one more vision in terms of, if elected, something that you'd implement and in what area?
Yes, because you have to be able to, what should I say, stabilize the economy. It has continued to decline. So you need to look at different areas that can shock the economy right now and, either do things to stabilize it or do things that can help improve right away. The government has come out with a number of programs that could create further shocks in the economy, making us even feel it even more pinching in our pockets. So that rental,
The landlord
surcharge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Think about it. People already can't put food on the table. The landlord now has this surcharge of $2,500. What do you think? They're going to sit down with it? No, it's going to be passed on. And so what we are saying we would like to do, if given the opportunity or when given the opportunity, yes, is that you pay your surcharge, because we don't want you to go to jail or pay exorbitant fees. It's not worth it. Pay the surcharge, pay your tax, and prove to us that you did not raise your rent for your tenants, and we will give you a rebate, a full rebate for the $2,500 if your rental is below $3,000. If your rental is above $3,000, we will give, and you've satisfied those conditions, we'll give you a 25% rebate on that. Because we are attempting to see how we can keep that rent controlled for a period until the economy stabilizes and we start to grow again. Once we start to grow, then it's okay. People are earning and they can afford. But right now, people cannot afford, and it's going to make things much worse if we don't bring some relief in that area.
And how long would that program last for? They'll just something that exists in the Tobago economy space for as long as you are a landlord, or it is only for a period of time?
No, well, we're going to have to evaluate it as we go along.
Okay.
But at least I would say in turning it around, it has to be at least 3 years that we may have to do it in order to make sure that there's no, what I would call a shock into the economy that continues to take us down the road.
And is that one of the things too that the government might say, let me call the police on you and you deal with it as it comes?
No, the Tobago House of Assembly has a responsibility to look at the Tobago economy and implement programs that can assist, with stabilizing the economy. I don't, let them send the police, but I see nothing in the Tobago House of Assembly Act that stops us from doing something like that. There's nothing in there that stops us from doing it.
Okay. All right, folks, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll introduce the candidates for the IDA who launched their election campaign last Friday. So stay with us, and when we come back, we'll introduce the candidates.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
For 10 years, Pulse 89.5 FM has been the beat that moves Tobago. From the latest hits to the voices of the community, we bring the island's rhythm to life. Every day, every hour. Stay locked to Pulse 89.5 FM, the beat of Tobago. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram and stream us worldwide on the TuneIn app.
Escape to elegance at Le Chateau Suites Tobago. Gated privacy, breathtaking villas, unforgettable memories, where Caribbean dreams become reality.
Hi, welcome back to All Access interview with the leaders. We have with us political leader of the Innovative Democratic Alliance, the IDA, Dr. Denise Tsoiafatt Angus. And at this time, well, last Friday, the IDA had a campaign launch for the THA 2026 election where they named 11 candidates. And tonight, we are going to introduce them here again in alphabetical order of the constituency. For Bethesda, Lakoto, we have Mr. Cecil Noel. For Buku, Mount Pleasant, we have Ms. Stacy Herbert. For Belgarden, Glamorgan, we have Mr. Jalon Carter. For Mason Hall South, Bagatelle, which used to be Bagatelle Bacolet, which has been renamed for the upcoming election to Mason Hall South Bagatelle, we have Mr. Ben Yisrael. For Signal Hill, Patience Hill, we have Mauricia Douglas. For Palativer, Lansfamy, Speyside, we have Ms. Linda Daniel. For Bethel New Grange, we have Mr. Terence David. For Mason Hall North Mariah, we have Ms. Shelley-Ann Lewis. For Darrell Spring Wim, we have Mr. Elon Berkeley. And for Bonaccord Crown Point, we have Philbert Williams. And the final person for Scarborough Mount Grace is Dr. Denise Tsoiafatt Angus, who is with us here today. One of the questions I wanted to ask you is, why Scarborough Mount Grace? Why would you want to represent that area?
Well, Scarborough Mount Grace is where I am from Rockley Vale side. My grandparents, we lived close by in the area of Montpelier, which is, neighboring into Mount Grace. And so there's naturally, that is the place that I would represent the people. I have a lot of family in the area. And so I have worked also in the area passionately. When I was the Secretary of Community Development and Culture, we did a lot of projects in the area in terms of improvement, working with the youth, ensuring that their community center belonged to the community and not know where it has been locked up for the last 8 years. That is sad because that has really, I would say it has really caused problems in the community. Created a sort of fragmentation because they had nowhere to come together. When you had the community center, they would play sports, they would, table tennis, They would have dancing. There were so many activities in the center. And since it has closed, you now have them taking to the streets, to Lyman Street corners. And I know that the young people there continue to lament the fact that they can't even use their own center in their community. If they have to use it, they have to pay a fee. That is ridiculous.
Okay.
And so I would have also been part of collaborating with the youth for that mural along the wall as you enter Calder Hall from the highway on the right-hand side. As the secretary, I would have collaborated with youth to ensure that, they express themselves on the wall. They're the ones who actually chose who they wanted to put on the wall, and we just facilitated their expression of that. Also ensuring that they had a lot of instruments to be fully engaged in finding themselves and not being on the streets.
You talked about making the community center readily available to the young people. For the same area of Scarborough Mount Grace, do you see any projects that you would like to embark on, infrastructural or otherwise, towards the development of that district or constituency, as we call it?
Yes, so a part of the prosperity pathway is that Tobago has to start building industries, and industries that are not controlled by the Tobago House of Assembly. So we will have what we call ACE councils, asset-based enterprise development, asset-based enterprise councils. These are elected councils in the community, and their responsibility, unlike the village council, that is an advocacy group and cannot be involved in, gaining monies or business making matters. You have these enterprise councils that will be responsible for looking at the whole electoral district and saying what kind of industry can we come up with such that it provides jobs for the people in our communities, and not just make work jobs, but jobs of a skilled nature and higher level. Because remember, we're improving the education system, so you now have to have meaningful jobs for persons. And so the community will be responsible for coming together and deciding what industry can be put there such that they can benefit from that, looking at their assets in order to do that. The Tobago House of Assembly would then assist them, whether monetarily or whatever other resources, technical resources, to make it happen. And that becomes their income into the community that they can then decide, do I need to send this one on scholarship? Do I need to do this in the community? Do I need to do some garbage collection? And you're not waiting to ask the THA. So some of the things the community can think about in terms of their assets, both that electoral district is a very vibrant football and sports district. Not that any other area is not, but one of the things that they can consider is perhaps having a sports academy that does not only attract our young people, but attract international persons to come in and want to come to the academy. And how that will be assisted is by one of our programs we have, which is called the Scouts Fiesta. And a Scouts Fiesta is what the THA will put on, where once a year we will have scouts that come in for 2 weeks out of the year to experience and look at all our different athletes in the different areas or the different sectors and determine what type of talent they want, who can they take, whether to university, whether to clubs, to take them abroad and to expose them to a greater life on the global stage for competition. And that is, important, because when you go on the corners and you talk to different people, they will tell you how well they did in sports in school. They were at the top of their game. And why is it we could only have one Dwight York or one Yaya? we should be having a few of them every single year. And so that is what we're going to do, because sports is a real career. It is a way out. And it's not good enough that we are actually having a three-tiered track system where you have, the academia, the vocational and technology and sports, and then we're not providing the next platform for them to pursue their career. And so that will be all part of that. And therefore, once that is happening, people may decide they want to send their children here. Some people send their children to Jamaica, yes, to do sports in Jamaica. Perhaps this is something that Calder Hall can take on, given that it is, love that they actually have this sports there. But there are a lot of other things that they can come up with. And so it's really, you want to give the community, let them come up with it. Because this is about really empowering and growing communities. It's about shoring up our foundation across the 15 communities. And that is what is critically important at this time, so we can start turning the economy around, because the THA cannot do it the way that it is normally being done.
The capital of Scarborough is included in the Scarborough-Mongrace district.
Absolutely.
Do you have a vision for what Scarborough should be? You always hear complaints about Scarborough, and Scarborough is going down, or Scarborough is not what it used to be. Do you have a vision to bring back what would be the capital city of Tobago?
Absolutely, because the challenge we are having with Scarborough is a lot of private sector ownership that you have in Scarborough.
How is that problematic?
How is it problematic? Because they own the lands in Scarborough. So you have to be able to go to them and not just present a vision, but to have the resources, right, to assist them in walking with that vision with you, unless you intend to buy the land outright if they want to send the land to you. But one of the challenges we have in Scarborough is the fact that not enough people live in Scarborough. So you may have to offer incentives for persons to build townhomes for people to actually live on that stretch, maybe going down to Breeze Hall Mall. So you actually have more people living in Scarborough. When you have those type of buildings there, it begins to transform the rest of the Scarborough and improve the surroundings of Scarborough. We also have to take the congestion out of Scarborough, having the port, bringing everything coming in there. And that means there's benefit to another area in Crown Point, where maybe in Kilgren Bay, you can actually have a separate port down there to create a transshipment between the airport being close by and also Cove Industries, and that would be better suited there. And so you free up that space for the actual cargo coming in, so that town begins to get, the congestion is not as much. And I think, again, talking with the residents and building out is what would be important, because one of the key areas in Scarborough is that it is not a residential area, and that is why you've had Crown Point flourishing like that, because Crown Point was more residential, and then the commercial, they saw the opportunity for the commercial part to be added, which if you do that in Scarborough, then you will see the natural upgrade of the Scarborough. We also need in Scarborough, I've always envisioned that we have tourists coming in. We should have big footprints, because many of them walk. Big footprints that lead them up to the legislature so they can do tours there. You lead footprints that lead them to Robinson's house, so they, another historic site that lead them up to the fort for those who want to walk. And so you lead them to the different spaces, botanics that is included. Now, I often ask myself, if the botanics belongs to, it's in the area of Scarborough, Mongrace, yeah, the community enterprise councils should be able to manage that and get the resources from it. And so again, turning the power back to the people and to communities so they can begin earning and become more sustainable for themselves. I'm sure they will manage it way better than it's currently being managed now.
Okay. On that note, we'll take a short break and come back soon. Stay with us.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
For 10 years, Pulse 89.5 FM has been the beat that moves Tobago. From the latest hits to the voices of the community, we bring the island's rhythm to life. Every day, every hour. Stay locked to Pulse 89.5 FM, the beat of Tobago. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram and stream us worldwide on the TuneIn app.
Escape to elegance at Le Chateau Suites Tobago. Gated privacy, breathtaking villas, unforgettable memories, where Caribbean dreams become reality.
Welcome back, and we continue the discussion with IDA's political leader, Dr. Denise Tsoiafatt Angus. Now, I aired when we introduced the 11 candidates, Tobago has 15 constituencies. Should we expect an additional 4 for your slate before nomination day?
We are currently still deciding on a few of them, and until Friday, we would know for sure whether we are going, whether we have suitable candidates or not. Candidates come up because communities have been calling me, not IDA people, communities have been calling, you're not putting a candidate over by us. Well, we need to make sure that that candidate is one that the people really want, and that we can, that the candidate doesn't have anything else that would stop them from going forward, because Friday is the last day. So we want to do that vetting of that situation properly.
Okay, and as we talk about a vetting, it would be remiss of me not to ask about a faux pas you all had recently with one of your nominees and how that unfolded. What lesson did you all learn from that incident?
I don't think it was a faux pas, because when they brought the young man on board, yes, he had that, but we have had other candidates go up in the past and become representatives with charges. So I don't know. He ended up going in, and then after he was approved, that is when they took him into the station and took him down. So
any lessons learned from that to move forward? And not just for you, for other political parties as well?
Anytime you change a system, no system is perfect. We chose to have communities recommend our people, and no system is perfect. And what is important is how you react to the situation, how you respond to the situation. And we dealt with it within 24 hours. And that's what you want. An administration that will be responsive, that takes responsibility and accountability, and makes the necessary adjustments so that the show can move on. Okay. And we did that within 24 hours.
Okay. You reflected on your role very shortly as a Secretary for Community Development, and I wanted to talk about another role you had before as a presiding officer. And that experience, if you become or you make a part of the assembly on either side, your experience as a presiding officer, would that influence anything you would like to see changed in the Assembly legislature, either to make it more efficient, anything relating to that?
Absolutely. I would like to see true separation of powers in there, and not an administration that dominates a presiding officer. There has to be freedom of that whole role and separation of powers. And that includes even the fact that they need to hire their own lawyers. You know, that the lawyer within the presiding officer's realm cannot be the same lawyers being used by the chief secretary.
Okay.
That has to change. So I would want to see a true separation of powers that does not have a presiding officer feel constrained because you felt that you were anointed by someone else, like a chief secretary.
Okay.
So I would like to see that office truly become, you know, one of its own that could stand up, because that is the only true democracy we would have. And, you know, that is how I operated. In fact, persons would come and tell me, you know, I didn't know that it was the ruling side that would have recommended you to be there because of how you operated. And it's a position that you have to be quite unbiased in, and remove all relationships and experiences and just step into the role with you and your law books.
Okay. And as an assemblyman, now, one of the things we've noticed as a television station is seemingly lack of interest in what goes on in the legislature related to the motions, that unless the motion is some high focus type thing, we're not finding a lot of interest in what goes on in the assembly every fourth Thursday in the month. Can you see changes to that taking place so that people could be more in tune with what we consider our democracy?
Well, I would tell you what I did when I was there as a presiding officer. When I was there, what I would do is I will invite a group or a segment of the community or an NGO, invite them to come and have lunch with the presiding officer. And so we would invite them on the day of the sitting, and they would come, they would have a tour of the legislature, and then they would come and sit and listen to the debate. You know what many of them said?
What?
You know, I didn't know we could come in here.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that people just view it as a white elephant that they can't touch, you know, something in an ivory tower. And I think that began to break down that perception that this is yours, you can come, you can attend. But, you know, just having it, introducing them with, come and have lunch with us. And that way, we got a lot of people to start saying, oh, so I can come here anytime I can be here. I don't know what happens now. But we have to transition people out of, that's you over there, and I have to keep myself right here, to let them know that this is all ours. And it's important that you come in and be a part of it. Now, when I started, that is when we started streaming online to see if, okay, well, young people may not be coming into the sitting itself, but perhaps we can get them to be online and service, you know, at least attend and comment, all that. And it started out pretty good, them being online. But I think where they need to go further is to activate that petition. The petition that says that any issue that we are concerned about, so take for instance the radar issue. If the assembly were in session now, and perhaps it was done at a key time when the assembly couldn't be in session, we should be able to go out and get names and, you know, names of persons who are against the radar or you know, whatever. And you bring it to the assembly, and they are forced to debate it in the assembly. And so when you do something like that, people feel they could get involved in something. And that is, I think, a key part of also bringing people into the conversation, letting them feel as if they have a voice. Because right now they feel as if they don't have a voice to anything. And if you don't have a voice, why are you going to bother?
Okay. So I want to take you back to some of your platform topics. And you talk about a plan to initiate education reform, and support for young people, especially financial support towards home ownership. Home ownership is expensive, especially in Tobago. You hear builders say for the price of one house in Tobago, we could build 2.5, 3 in Trinidad. So the kind of money you are talking about saving, can that truly be able to have a young person in a home by 28?
Yes,
with the
because
cost of material?
they will have their deposit.
Okay.
They will have their deposit, and then they can determine, you know, is it that they're going to buy any other house or how they're going to, you know, go forward with it. They will have, if they're buying houses that are already completed, they can make the deposit and they can start paying down on the house.
And these are houses through the THA or just houses in general in Tobago, private sector houses?
Any one of them.
Okay.
Any one of them. Because you may have a student who came out, you know, and is doing way more and can afford the other type of house.
Okay.
You know, and it's affordability wherever they lie, but at least the money will be there to afford whether it's a THA home or whether they want some other type of home. So that is there.
Is there any plan to push for things like low-cost housing?
Yes, absolutely. You know, the THA all the time has provided for middle-income housing, but they have left the market of low-income housing just untouched. And at this time, it is very important because people are in what I call functional poverty. There are people who are actually earning what you think would be a good salary, but they're living paycheck to paycheck and can't do anything more.
Well, you see that a lot in Tobago.
Yes.
And one of the signs of that is the supermarkets are usually empty at the beginning of the month, in the middle, but as soon as you get to the end, they're all there because they buy groceries when they get salary.
Right.
And it has to last for the month.
Yes, so we are into functional poverty.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think the numbers say that as well.
yes.
The CSO numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And therefore, again, when you're faced with this situation, it is the responsibility of the state, in this case the THA, to put things in place to alleviate the situation. And so this is another part of it where we will look at the lands that you have and give affordable lands to persons with low income. It doesn't mean that you're giving it away, but it creates more of affordability for them within their bracket. And then you collaborate or partner with them. They provide the labor, they get the family to provide the labor. We give them some materials so they can start erecting their homes.
Okay. And you talk about land. One of the bugbears in Tobago is land tenure. Do you have any plans to at least start the process to give people that security of having a deed in their name rather than in their great-grandparents' name where they're unable to do anything with it?
Yes, the Land and Housing Trust will have a battalion of units to be able to deal with it, both for mediation and also for legal. Because a lot of these situations is just that the families cannot get together to talk, you know, and they're just at loggerheads and are angry with each other.
Okay.
And I don't know that any organization or entity has taken on mediation in a very serious way first. And then coming out of mediation, okay, so y'all can't agree. Are y'all willing to sell the land to the THA and each of you get back portions or however it's going to be done? And it's not to the THA, I'm sorry, to the Land and Building Trust that will be part of an independent group called the Tobago Development Bank. Okay, so the Tobago Development Bank will have the Land and Building Trust as part of one of its arms to be able to treat with that situation.
Tell me more about the Tobago Development Bank and what would be the purpose besides the land trust?
Well, the Tobago Development Bank, remember we spoke, and I recall I spoke to you about the fact that we can borrow without going to the minister.
Yeah, with the use of the overdraft.
Yeah. So if you have your own Tobago Development Bank here, then you create your own overdraft that you can borrow from and you pay back as you get your monies.
Oh, so it would act as a regular bank where the THA could tap into, and the law says you could have an overdraft in
Correct.
a bank, and you'd use that funding to get what you need to get done.
So you use your money that you're getting as leverage to get more.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
You have to think innovatively. All right?
I'm not sure innovatively is the word, but okay.
Yes. Okay. And so, in addition to that, remember your communities are now going to be getting into building industries. So they also have the opportunity to access the bank.
Okay.
Right? The diaspora, you will encourage them to invest in the bank.
Okay.
They may want to put their monies in the bank. So a Tobago Development Bank is what is needed right now to go forward with that arm of the Land and Housing Trust that will be dedicated to finally sorting out the business of land and land tenure. And like I said, it may not be that after mediation, they may determine, well, none of us want the land, let us put it in the trust, and in return, we can get back units or something. In return, and everybody gets to go their way.
Okay.
But at least a concerted effort will be made to work through those issues.
Okay. All right, folks, we're at that time again where we have to take the final break for the evening and come back and wrap up with Dr. Denise Tsoiafatt Angus, political leader of the IDA, a political party that has signaled its intent to be a part of the Tobago House of Assembly 2026 election. Stay with us.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
For 10 years, Pulse 89.5 FM has been the beat that moves Tobago. From the latest hits to the voices of the community, we bring the island's rhythm to life. Every day, every hour. Stay locked to Pulse 89.5 FM, the beat of Tobago. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram and stream us worldwide on the TuneIn app.
Escape to elegance at Le Chateau Suites Tobago. Gated privacy, breathtaking villas, unforgettable memories, where Caribbean dreams become reality.
And we're back again. Another platform, the last platform topic that I want to touch, another one that you hear all the time on the platform, because I think it's critical, is agriculture, because there's a need for the island and the people of the island to be able to feed themselves. Does the IDA have a plan for agriculture here in Tobago?
Yes, and especially now food security is very important for us, given all that is happening around us. And one of the challenges we have with agriculture, we're talking to the people in places like Bell Garden, is the consistency of water for irrigation. And so one of the systems we want to put in is mini reservoirs that will serve the areas, the capturing of rainwater to be able to serve the areas so that the crops will not be affected. In addition to that, doing an extreme analysis of the different soil types we have across Tobago. Tobago has many different soil types, and you do that analysis to determine what are the soil types and what crops can be grown in those soil types. You know, sometimes persons trying to grow tomatoes and they say, "Am my hand not good with tomatoes?" Well, it's not your hand, it's the soil type. It's not conducive to growing tomatoes, but it may be conducive to growing something else. We are also going to encourage our farmers to not just farm and depend on produce going to the market, but to also begin thinking about post-harvest activities. Take, for instance, cucumbers. Easy to grow, maybe easy to spoil, but what can we make with cucumbers that the rest of the world wants?
Pickles.
Pickles and relish. And so you get a community that is dedicated. That could be one of their industries. They are making pickles and relish for export to the international market.
Yeah, and
so
generally secondary products make a way more money than the primary product. Yeah.
And that goes with our zero waste policy.
Okay.
Yes, because we're into zero waste policy, there's always something can be done. You know, the Bell Garden area can take their breadfruit and expand it into making the cereal. I know they have a festival, but a festival is a one-day event. So we're now going further. The chips, the cereal, you know, anything else the breadfruit can make. And we are always thinking for export. If we are thinking for export, then food security is dealt with. But additionally, once you export, you now have monies coming in so that you can then import, you know, some of the other things that you want because money is coming in. People within the fishing and the livestock industry, instead of just selling the fish like that, which, you know, you can to locals, let us get more fish, livestock, cut it up right there. It's value added, and that is what you then ship off. Because many persons come to Tobago, they buy a whole sheep and goat, and they go back to Trinidad, they cut it up, and you'll be amazed at how much more you're paying for that because they cut it up. So why not do it from here? And those could be some of the activities that communities take on as an industry where they're going to get jobs for young people in communities because of those additional areas. We haven't touched on the creative sector. There's a whole world of the creative sector. I was talking this morning with someone and I said, you know, we are short-sighted here with our carnival. You have the carnival to 2 days. Where is the documentary? Where's the movie that you could now put on a pay-per-view at maybe $5 a click, where the rest of the diaspora will go in and choose their $5 a click? And that then multiplies. You begin to get way more money coming in because you've now seen the carnival that you put on as a stage theater. You've taken the appropriate content and you've now put it together that you can release and now get persons to go and view from around the world. Imagine how much people around the world from the Caribbean would want to look at it, pay $5 US, and you know, we earn money right from here. And it's important that we look at that. We also looking at pan manufacturing. One of our communities can take that on as an industry. Pan manufacturing for export also. You then also have a pan and music academy. Collaborating with an international school of music for the panyards. Cats and Jammers is, you know, they've distinguished themselves. And therefore, you partner them with somewhere like an international school of music, and they can then attract international students to come and learn pan and other musical instruments, and they get international certification. What that means is that also our local persons will have access to become internationally certified. And you could see with everything that you have connecting, how we begin to turn the economy around and truly bring Tobagonians into a level of prosperity.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure how to put it on a lighter note. In the midst of the election, we have Christmas, or in the midst of Christmas, we have an election. How do you see Christmas shaping up for yourself this year? Would it be as it has in the past, or do you think it would be different?
I am seeing, I shouldn't be a damper, but it has been very depressing so far to see how much poverty is out there. Persons not being able to afford a good Christmas, and it breaks my heart because I'm saying that if we had had if the administration had had different priorities over the last 4 years, these persons would not be in the conditions that they're in right now.
And these are people you're seeing as you do your walkabouts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It is very, very, very depressing to understand that sometimes people just having juice and biscuit. That is their meal for the day.
Okay.
You know, and how can you turn that around? I mean, you can't turn it around this Christmas, but we do look forward to being given the opportunity to begin turning all that around, because many of them say they went to social services to try and get a food card, they went here, they turned them down. And I'm saying, what criteria are you using to turn people down? Don't you go into their areas to take a look to see how they live in, to know, do they need this? Yes? Or are we playing politics with the government's money and people's lives by not, because you feel they're not part of your party, that you're not giving them the support that they need
But I wonder,
to live?
I wonder if some of the problems, and you need to tell me your opinion of this, is that there might not be a proper system in place to determine who is below the poverty line and who is above. You just talked about somebody visiting my home. A lot of people look at people and the way they dress and say, nah, you could never be in poverty. But for the rest of the world, there are numbers that determine whether you are above or below the poverty line, which does not allow for someone to deny you if you fall below that, where you determine what your income is, how many people are in the household, that kind of thing. Is that part of our problem, where the people who need the help aren't getting the help because it's mainly based on opinion and how I feel, or if you're part of me or not? Is that what the problem might be?
Absolutely. We are not a data-driven society. We are an emotional society. And that has to change for us to move forward. Okay? And you hit the nail on the head. There has to be criteria that we use to determine what we call the means test of persons. And it can't just be your impression of them, or whether they are aligned or not aligned with you in any way. We have to get rid of that in order to move ourselves forward. We have to see that in Tobago we are all related. You know, where is our humanity in understanding that when somebody comes to ask you for a food card, how many nights they might have lamented that they don't want to go and beg for a food card, but finally they got to do that because they have children to feed. And so when they come to you, you know, what criteria are you using? So you're quite correct. We need to involve more data-driven, and that is why in our medical system we're going to create a medical institute. We call it the WEED Institute. Yes, wellness, evidence-based enterprise development. Okay? And why we're doing that is because we have so many herbs across the island. Yeah? So many weeds across the island, because vervine is one of those. We consider vervine to be a weed. Yes? But you know vervine is selling on the Amazon right now. And therefore, you know, utilizing all of those resources to study them, be able to utilize them in treatments and also become a distribution center for them. That way, again, getting funds in.
Okay, we have to leave it there, but I'll give you 10 seconds to tell the camera why people should vote for IDA.
This is a time to reset Tobago. Reset Tobago with reliable governance, governance that would empower the people, you the people, creating sustainable communities, having an economy that is renewed, so economic renewal and transformation for all. And that is what we mean by resetting Tobago. And we are asking Tobagonians to think beyond what your traditional type of campaigning would be, not because you're accustomed to one party or next, doesn't mean what you would like to call a third party cannot be the answer to you. Many of you out there are not happy with each party. I'm asking you to take the courage to choose the IDA team to be your next administration and to be able to turn around Tobago. We cannot afford to continue going backwards with a declining economy and a continuing uneducated workforce. It is not doing any of us any good. And I'm saying to the undecideds, to those who normally don't vote, and to those who are just fed up with what is going on, your vote is absolutely necessary to be part of the turnaround of the economy of Tobago. Trinidad cannot help us because they too are in crisis. It is time that we start truly seeing about ourselves.
Okay, folks, and we're going to leave it there for episode 2 of All Access, Interview with the Leaders. Thank you, Dr. Tsoiafatt Angus, the political leader of the Innovative Democratic Alliance, IDA.
And the heart is our symbol. Vote for the heart.
Thank you so much for viewing. We'll see you on the next episode, where we expect to have the political leader of the People's National Movement, Mr. Ansel Dennis. Have a good evening.